So welcome to the StreetText demo, everybody. This is going to be hopefully an enlightening experience for you. Here's Logan and Eric, and we'll be assisting you guys too on this demo. So just remember, whatever you learn here, like you're gonna have a one-on-one opportunity to connect. So this is not like, hey, we're gonna throw a fire hose at you and teach you everything. It's just like, this is what StreetText is all about. Let's paint the vision, show you our community, all these different great courses and classes and scripts and strategies and ways of kind of tapping into the Facebook lead, because there's really twofold parts. There's the, how do we generate leads, sellers, buyers, maybe even market our own listings, without wasting too much money on Facebook, because the key is tapping into a strong ad, consecutive, consistent, predictable lead flow out of that ad. And then with that being said, there are really important key ideas in terms of what's happening in the background. Like someone submits their information, at the very minimum an email, that will activate a drip email campaign out of StreetText. If someone gives you a phone number, that will activate, if you actually allow it to, an AI component, which is a text message that you have to start as well. And then with that being said, it's all about getting your brand and customizing that experience as well, because that is going to be key for them to get to meet you. So we're going to really highlight that whole picture. Let me get right into an account and kind of show you what this is all about. So I'm going to log into your Sunny, and Ira is your coach. He's not on this call right here, but he will be in touch with you, I'm sure, shortly. So everybody gets to begin with, if you set up a trial, you're going to see something like this. And if you don't have a trial yet, that's okay. You might be just here to kind of check us out. And Eric, can you go ahead and give them a link if they wanted to activate a trial? But everybody begins here. And some people decide, I want to hold off until this demo to launch an ad. Some people say, hey, let me just go at it. Let's see what you can do, StreetText. And I'm like, well, you do something like that, you're playing the odds not so much in your favor. And I'm going to show you what you really want to think about. So number one, does everybody know on Facebook, in terms of advertising and marketing, that you have to consider the Housing Discriminatory Act, which is a 15-mile minimum radius? Yeah, thumbs up for anybody on camera. If you're not on camera, got to give me a little, use your little emojis. Anybody use the reactions down there? There's little emojis that you can use just like this, little thumbs up. Because if you don't consider that, then you're going to lose out on how successful your ad can be. So one of the things you got to automatically think about is, okay, where am I willing to drive north, south, east, and west for 15 miles? Because ultimately that's going to decide the future of your ad's performance. And it's going to allow you to kind of now start thinking about, is it a zip code? Is it my home address? Is it my office? And some of the things you also want to consider too is if you're near the ocean or some mountains, you can play around with that as well. But we all got to consider 15 miles. That's 24 kilometers for us Canadians now. That's the Housing Discriminatory Act. And if you don't do that, all of a sudden, let's just use your example, Sunny, Phoenix. Imagine if you're throwing in a Phoenix ad in a 15-mile radius, not everyone in there is going to say, I live in Phoenix. So if Facebook's throwing that ad to 15 miles in and around Phoenix, now, obviously anybody who sees it in Phoenix is going to say, yeah, that's me. I click on it. But anybody that go outside of the Phoenix area that Facebook is showing that to may not say, hey, that's not relevant to me. I'm not in Phoenix. So all of a sudden we have to now start thinking about, okay, so what can we do to really go after that 15 miles? And we're going to show you some key tips on that. So I'm going to share my screen again. The idea of tapping into that particular lead, whether it's a seller, buyer, or listing, and it's really obvious on the seller side, because homeowners who live in that 15 miles, they're going to see this ad. But what I want you to know is it's almost like you don't have to do a thing if you do this properly, because it's been so tried, true, and tested. We've had this type of funnel for 5 years, and we've tried everything under the sun. We're an exclusive Facebook partner, so we get to work with them really closely on algorithm. And what you need to know about this funnel that's you're testing right now is that it's got a 60% click to contact ratio. That means, in just breaking this down in layman's term, 6 out of 10 of every click on average become a submission. That's unheard of in the industry. To put this in perspective, if you're in real estate and you're sitting in the 5% range of click to contacts, you're doing good. They say anywhere above that, closer to 10%, is like you're in the 95 percentile. So we just given you a funnel that's going to crush you. But what you got to know, this is dynamic. It's not a Facebook lead ad, which capturing all their information up front. So what I like to do for everybody before I show you this funnel and how to use it is I want you to imagine for one moment that you are randomly on Facebook and you're in the mode of, hey, what are these people seeing? What am I putting out there? And here's the key. The first thing they see is a map of the area. The ad itself, and I can't click on yours for some reason right now, but I'll show you. This is the first landing page, Sunny. They're seeing a map of the Phoenix area. So if you zoom into that particular area of the map, they're going to see that particular area of Phoenix. If you zoom out, they're going to see the 15 miles the way you want them to. So it's really important to begin with the design of your actual ad. So when you go to select this particular seller funnel, I want you to first think about, Sunny, and maybe you can start with is it an address I'm going to use? Is it a zip code I'm going to use? What's the address or zip that comes to mind of which you're willing to kind of run north?
You can do 85020.
85020.
020.
And that's Phoenix. Okay, perfect. And so the reason I want to do that is it kind of shows you, like, just like you did it earlier, you're kind of getting there's the Phoenix Mountain Reserve. Now here's the even better thing to do. We have this section called ad targeting, and your coach is going to help you build this. But when you literally start targeting that location, either by zip or city, you still don't get clear with what that looks like. So the best thing to do, the best practice is always to begin in this feature called drop a pin, because now you're literally getting to see what 15 miles looks like. And so if you drop that Phoenix zip code in there, and this applies for everybody here, what you want to do is you want to really get clear with what 15 miles looks like. So as you can see, Sunny, you're going into Scottsdale, Tempe, Phoenix, Glendale, Sun City, etc. Right? You can see that.
Yeah.
Now, does this, looking at this picture, I'll zoom in a little bit clearer for you. Is that kind of ideal for you, or would you want to move this pin?
Yeah, that's not really ideal. Like I like just literally focus on the Phoenix area, which is, if you see 101 to the north,
yeah,
and then the 10 to the south, and where that pin is, that whole column bounded by the 17 and the 51,
yeah,
that's kind of my area, along with a similar size just to the east of the 51. So like those two slices.
And that's, the key is it's never going to be perfect for you, unfortunately.
Right. It's just that I don't want the stuff that's further to the west.
Okay, so
that's generally not my area.
So refer it out, because Facebook makes you refer it out.
Yeah, that's a good answer, because there's no ideal area. So essentially my suggestion to you is, look at this map and decide where this circle ultimately.
For me, it's fine. For this purpose, it's fine.
Okay, and like the key again is that's why you start here, because if you don't start here, then you really are not recognizing the power of the Facebook 15-mile radius. And so, you begin here, and again, I'll prioritize when you build a funnel, and your coaches will help you do this. You don't go to just saying Phoenix on this ad. You don't go in just to this idea of, okay, here we are, I'm just going to go tap into this. Because Phoenix is gonna be, or Facebook can be like, hey, cool, you want Phoenix, you want this map, we can show it to everybody, but guess what, we're going to throw it to 15 miles out there. Mm-hmm. So if you don't do this, you're missing out on anybody who doesn't identify with that particular ad image and text copy. So the best thing to start with is always this: get really clear, with what that looks like, because you can hack it a little bit. Given if you really wanted to, you just move this into an area where you're like, well, no, not many people are going to live out here. So if I really wanted to, I can just capture this half of the circle, and so forth. If you go down here, obviously no one lives in the mountains, so you can move the circle to be ideal for that portion of the circle that you want, right? So that's going to be key for you right now. But for this demo purpose, I'll just say, let's just select that address, and then we can work together, and you can work with your coach. But when you actually build it, you then want to make sure the image you're using is resonating with the 15 miles. So you obviously wouldn't go right into Phoenix like that.
Right. Okay.
You would zoom out just like this, probably maybe in just a little bit more, right? And then you would get clear on, okay, that's why I start here, because when I lock into this radius with the longitude, latitude, I build my image accordingly from the radius that I just locked into. And now instead of saying Phoenix on the city and or neighborhood, you either leave it blank, or what we have fun with, and it's worked really well over the last few years, is just instead putting in a couple home emojis. Because the thing is, you're not talking to Phoenix, you're not talking to Scottsdale or Glendale or any of those surrounding areas, you're talking to a 15-mile radius. So it makes complete sense logically to think about it. Hey, I know I'm a homeowner that lives in this area. I can see all this area. It'll apply to me if I live in Glendale. It'll apply to me if I live in Scottsdale. It'll apply to me any one of those areas, right? And now this ad is designed like with that purpose in mind. 15-mile radius, image is zoomed out, home emojis are there. You got a great practicing ad because you locked in your targeting, and then you built your ad image and copy after you locked in your targeting. And now once you actually click next, you deploy, and that's it. That's the best practice ad.
Hey,
And
what do you do to get the pin thing?
So when you're designing any one of these ads, you just literally, for your 7-day trial template, it's the first ad you have. It's called seller property valuation conversion. And your coach can help you set this up. But you click select and you bypass the first step altogether and go right into ad targeting.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah. And then literally, that's why once you start with the address that comes to mind, what was the zip code, Sonny?
85020.
Yeah, I mean, and if you really wanted to, like an address even gets you more locked in. Right. So, you know, the clearer you are, because if you know, again, if you have an address and you can see, hey, if I'm going to duplicate this ad, which we're about to tell you how to get really great results, is not by simply running one ad. Okay. And I'm going to let Logan really help you understand the concept that StreetText is known for. It's called a split test. And a split test is really running this type of best practice ad minimum of 3 times for the first 24 hours to get the best results. And that in itself, it's because the clear thing that you have to realize is that Facebook is going to just go and throw this out to a 15-mile net. Wherever it lands, it lands. That's a randomized sample by Facebook. There's no like, hey, give it to my my ideal user that has, you know, $100,000 income, you know, with he's 30, 40, 42 years old with a couple kids, you know, like that Facebook doesn't allow you to do that anymore. It's a level playing field. So ultimately you're starting from scratch, and Facebook will find you the ideal user, but it's got to put it in front of the right homeowner. And that's going to be activated by the first 500 people reached. Go ahead, Logan, talk about it.
Yeah. So Facebook has to do a lot of things really quickly. What they're trying to do is determine relevancy. So they're going to assign a relevancy score to your ad, which will then essentially control how much you pay on the ad specifically itself. So for instance, you run one ad. Facebook looks at your targeted area and will randomly select 500 people within that 15-mile radius, basically at random, and show the ad to them, and then take that group's collective reactions. Where was that needle? Where was the relevancy? Did this first 500 people, did the group find it more relevant, less relevant, more neutral? Their collective results, right? However they react to the ad, again, sets relevancy. Relevancy sets cost per click. Now, whoever takes positive action within the first 500 also tells Facebook, these are the type of individuals we're going to keep showing this ad to. All of that is determined within 1 day of running an ad. Facebook makes up their mind within 24 hours, so you should be able to as well, is kind of the way we like to put it, right? So again, if you want to be at the mercy of 500 random people, build one ad. The best way to do this, though, is, in my opinion, build 3. You can build more if you like. 3 seems to be that magic number for me, though. So 3 ads that are perfectly identical, nothing different. You're not changing a single thing. You're able to control 4 of 5 key variables on Facebook. The 5th variable that you cannot control is that random test audience that gets to decide the fate of your ad. So, expand the likelihood of tapping into a good test audience, build more than one ad. The ads are absolutely the same, but the people who first see them will always be unique. Thus, the ad's performance will always be unique. So again, to reiterate, what we'll do is we'll build 3 ads perfectly identical. We let them run for 24 hours, and then you pick the winner at the after that 24-hour period. That one should be locked in for quite some time, weeks, if not months at a time, before any changes need to be made. Now, I would typically recommend doing all 3 ads at the same budget, so $9 a day. Theoretically speaking, you're at $27 a day. It's more money than you need to be spending in most areas, of course, but it's better to spend a little bit more money day one to find that good ad so that you can sit back and let that ad do what it's supposed to do. So that's the one point where we get a lot of questions. So I like to kind of open this up to you guys, and any questions you have kind of on that algorithm, on how that works, please unmute yourself. Let us know right now, and I'll do a better job of unpacking that for you.
No questions.
Pretty straightforward. Great.
So
yeah,
let's walk through really quickly. I mean, we don't want to hold you hostage. I know you got a lot to do, Christmas shopping, all that good stuff. So let's really quickly kind of get you an idea of what's happening. So I'm going to use someone else's account study, but it's the same thing. And we're going to kind of really help you frame in what's happening in the background. So if you look at a typical ad, because you can run a map, you can run a satellite image, you can run a terrain image. It's going to be, this is like a best practice style of ad. Here's an ad in Miami off the beach. I like when I'm doing anything near the ocean, I actually enjoy doing the satellite image. It seems to pull because of that light blueness. But the key is this particular Miami plus 15 miles is going to tap inland, and in this case, kind of out in the water a little bit. So it's advantageous to him. But when that particular ad is clicked on, this is the process. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is where the click becomes the contact, right? Simply said, it's not taking them in some crazy form where I'm trying to capture their address, their email, their phone number, their information all at one time. We're gonna go dating. We're gonna court a little bit before we simply try to capture all their information. This is what makes StreetText so dynamic. This lead capture is done from click to contact, 60%. No one can touch those numbers because guess what? First thing we're asking for is an address, not their email and phone number and all the information about their home and updates and all that good stuff. This is what is so imperative to understand. We're not asking for anything other than what that particular, and we actually have an ad that really communicates this as well beyond the trial. But the beginning is the address itself. It's captured. The moment that address is captured, it literally is sitting in your contact section as an address only, as you can see right up here. Okay, and again, your coach is going to work with you on what to do with the address only, because there's some great stuff to do. Now, the second part of that is really the most important thing for you to recognize. As a lead, they have to give you permission to be contacted. They have to literally click on a box as well as submit their email. And when that happens, that automatically is sending that particular lead an email from you, from the email that you signed up your trial with. Okay. Now, that email in itself is going to be pretty generic. It's a generic email that really looks like this. It's basically going to say, I received your Facebook request for the property valuation of, pulling in the address they submitted, and I'm on it. Nothing's in there that's your brand at this moment. Obviously, it's a trial. There's no way to do that until you work with your coach. What we're going to teach you that really is going to make a game-changing difference in the way you present yourself is to start branding, pulling in an email signature, and best case scenario, throw in a video to introduce yourself in that moment. Because at the end of the day, if you're really leading with email communication and all you have in this particular funnel is an address and email, it's going to give you the opportunity as if you were at their home. Now, the icing on the cake, everything beyond that is really what you learn about that lead, because you get that experience in there, and we're going to teach you what to do and how to do it, but you get that experience in there, and all of a sudden, hey, it's like that automatically sent out, and now I get to learn more about that. So no matter what happens, let's say that person falls out of the funnel right now, they're not giving you any condition property, they're not telling you anything like updates and recent renovation, the age of the property, and so forth, and when they want to sell. That's already been sent out. That's the important thing that you have to recognize. So email is going to be vital for you. in that type of communication and the measurement of that communication. But when they start giving you age updates, amenities, rental information, this is all optional, right? Whether or not they want to provide it or not. And it's a percentage game. But they can tell you things like immediately 1 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, 6+ months, just curious, you know, don't put a lot of weight here. This is oftentimes a defense mechanism until they figure out who you are and who they're talking to. And then, you know, in this case, the things you can do at this moment to enhance this process, and your coach will work with you, is you can pull in any Facebook reviews. You can pull in a slogan. Again, meet with your coach because he's going to help you really dial this in. This right here in itself will activate an SMS component of StreetText. The SMS component, we call her Julie. You'll learn that it's all about role play with her. She's going to start the conversation for you. She's going to send up to 5 text messages throughout the week to those lead with phone numbers, and they're all going to sit in the conversations tab, of which you want to activate if you don't already have one. And if you go to this conversations tab in your dashboard and it doesn't have something that looks like this, it means you just need to activate a local number and area code, and we'll help you with that. So I'm not going to pull too much more than that. I'm just going to tell you, you have a coach, and we're going to set you up to have some great experiences. We're going to get you into our StreetText Insider group. Let's see if I can find it. I have so many tabs open. This is where, lots of tabs. This is where we want to introduce you to. We want to actually really get you into our group right away so you can see what our top users are using, how they're doing it, script strategies, integrations, some fun stuff. We want to actually provide you with a free course that shows you how to pull in video, email signature, and so forth, because that's going to be really big as these leads are being generated. And then we just want to let you know, tomorrow you're invited to our mastermind. Our mastermind is where you get to meet some of our top performing agents and see what they're doing, how they're doing it. You know, we share bomb videos. We do some role play. We get really clear on how to tap into the lowest cost lead using our split test and A/B testing funnel templates. And so, again, this is going to feel like a fire hose in the beginning because there's so much going on, but that's why you have someone to talk to. This is just the overall, because, you know, we could go deeper into here and tell you, hey, let's try out some buyer ads. Let's market your own listings. You can do that in trial. But beyond that, you can see we have a lot of member only templates. And if we just fire those off right away, it's going to be too much overwhelm for you. Oftentimes, it's less about lead generation and more about your process. Because if you're going to generate leads and all of a sudden they're getting a bunch of, you know, generic emails coming at them, your likelihood of getting responses are going to be small until you come in there and work with your coach to get yourself in there, your brand, your communication style, your personality, right? That's what's going to connect with them. That's the day and age we live in. It's a virtual day and age. Everything's all about connection and really using words like, this is complimentary. This is my way of giving back to the community. No obligation. I just have a few quick questions before I send your value over. Because it's not about just simply giving CMAs and home values, guys. If you do that, you're going to get frustrated. It's going to be tedious and cumbersome, and you're going to be just bored. The key is to have a conversation with that person and really emphasize that the internet's best guess is not what they need. And it's your way of giving back. You'd like them to give an in-depth market analysis. Here's how you like to get started. Does that make sense? So everybody at this point, do you have any questions before we kind of end it here? This would be a perfect time just to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple questions actually. So you mentioned BombBomb. Are we able to integrate co-video? Because I use co-video. Are we able to integrate a co-video?
You know, I'm not sure with co-video, but I'm sure there is an integration. I mean, ultimately, we embed a lot in the automation. So if there's an HTML code or specifically kind of like that form, I'm yet to know that system. But I'm sure it would work. At the end of the day, you could also use it personally from your email to send out, right? So
okay,
a lot of people,
because my co-video is actually attached to my Gmail.
And that's what a lot of people use BombBomb, even the extension of Gmail, for example. So I'm sure it works. We can whoever your coach is, we can work with that to see how that integrates. Because most people are going to integrate their systems either through email parsing or Zapier. And then the personal send out, that's really entirely up to you. But in terms of the automations are concerned, we'll work with you, you know, case by case with the coach.
Hey, Marcus, a quick question. I'm sorry, I got hung up on another appointment. How do I repeat this? Is this recorded or is there another, I can go back in and reschedule?
It's recorded, absolutely, and you can reschedule. So both options.
Okay.
Quick question here too. So I'm trying to get one of those texting numbers, and you apparently only have one area code in all of Arizona, and it's about 50 miles outside of my area.
So work with your coach on that, because there's a couple ways to look for phone numbers. You can use the map feature. You can use,
Yeah, I've tried it all.
Okay, well, again, probably send an email to support@streettext.com, see what they can find for you. But
Okay.
it's basically limited to that system of finding numbers and what's available. So that's the key on there.
All right.
You have to use one of those numbers assigned, Marcus?
Well, no, that's just an AI component. So that particular Julie component will activate a local text message that sends out from your
Right.
Julie.
In other words, I have a number I'm not currently using, a custom number. Can I use that or no? I have to use one of yours?
This is going to be through StreetText itself. Yeah, you can do whatever you want beyond that, but this is a StreetText focused number.
So, quick question. So I have multiple Facebook ads that I use already. How does yours really different and stand out from them? Because I can honestly say that, with the ones that I'm using, I have 3 different other projects going that the rate of conversion is terrible. So how are you different? That's what I'm trying to figure out, whether or not, you guys are truly different. What makes it different?
Logan, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. Many different things. I would say one of the big benefits is we average probably $7 to $10 million in ad spend a year. So we have the ability to look at collective knowledge. So we run a particular style of ad, imagery, ad copy, whatever it might be, connected to a very specific style of landing page, and then track the conversion. We're able to actually then physically see for every click, how many people clicked that you paid for that click have left what style of information, so we can really start to gauge and then make edits and adjustments accordingly from there. So again, we've been doing this since 2014, constantly making little improvements and adjustments to everything that we do to make sure that those numbers kind of play out. Beyond that, we have multiple other templates as well as customizable templates. So you can always come. I do a custom ad class usually every Tuesday, and you can even bring maybe your 3 ads that you're doing, your other campaigns, and just kind of run them through the thought process of, intention, offer, imagery, landing page, whatever it might be, to kind of clean up some things. That's a big part of why I find ads not working. There's a overall structure or mechanism that needs to be in place right from the offer. The offer is incredibly important all the way, and then imagery as well, to be considerate to stop their scroll. Again, imagery the image itself isn't to sell your service. The image is simply to get them to pay attention for a split second. That is it. That's why we use such a boring map image, is it doesn't scream, hey, I'm an ad. Because if it looks like an ad, it sounds like an ad, it is an ad. People are going to scroll right past it. So again, step back in your building an ad for you, if that makes any sense. That's something that, myself as a realtor for many years, coming into this role, years ago, that's something I've had to kind of take a step back from, is building ads that have like a for sale sign or a specific type of architecture, things that attract me, because I'm realizing I'm attracting only other realtors. Right? When you're using this kind of imagery that realtors like to see, who do you think you're attracting? Right? So it's, again, being very intentional with many different factors. And again, typically people can bring to us their failed campaigns and say, hey, this hasn't been working as well, but this is really what I'm trying to accomplish. And we can usually find a few little levers to click to kind of still keep doing that offer that you want to do, but make it work with Facebook ads specifically.
And I would say one thing to add to that, Lisa, would be the power of split testing and A/B testing. So everybody kind of has a good idea that an A/B test is essentially just like, hey, let's change up the picture or the text and compare the two, see which one works best. But no one really dives in deep into the split test. When you have a proven, tried, true tested funnel like this that, let's say 25,000 this last month tested, and you have 60% results on that particular funnel. That means, on average, $2 addresses, $6 emails, $18 phone numbers. What that's telling you is that on average, for every single click, if you get an address about 1 in 3 of those addresses produce an email. That's what you're seeing when you see from $2 to $6. And if you get an email, about 1 in 3 of those emails produce a phone number. So it's pretty clear when you start calculating your spend, if your ad's performing in par with everybody else. And granted, every market's unique and different. And some people, you know, I can't compare an ad at $9 a day in Beverly Hills to one in Fargo, North Dakota. It's just not the same. You're going to naturally compete in an auction with other retailers and you know, not just real estate, all of advertising, big boxes, you know, I don't know, Target, Coca-Cola, whoever's running Facebook ads. So you got to remember, it's an auction house. So the split test reveals the audience itself and the sample audience. So if Facebook's going to go out there in a 15-mile radius and say, here's, you know, give me $10, I'm going to go randomly sample 500 people. Like, you don't know where that's going and who's going to receive it the way you need it. So if you're splitting the audiences, now you're getting 3 unique sample audiences. And for, you know, it's the same exact ad. And that's why we're having a feature that's being released shortly where you can actually, with one click of a button, say, StreetText, build me 5 split tests. And what does that mean? So we're going to say, okay, what do you want your ad budget to be? Let's just say it was $9. So what you're telling StreetText is to run 5 unique ads, each at $9. And for you and your coach, really, this is not about you spending $45 over the next 24 hours. It's about identifying the earliest pattern that shows you exactly where the relevancy is coming from, and then quickly pausing the other ads that are not performing that way. And that's what gets you predictable results.
Just to add to that, Lisa, I just got off the phone before I signed on. It was a live lead. It was a name, phone number. The guy's selling a property. He's going to a bungalow. He's buying a property. Had a good discussion with him, sending him out stuff. The fact is that it's working.
Yeah, and guys, I'll tune in here for you. The reason I'm on this call, one of my team members, Alexandria Phillips, she's been on 3 months. She's done 3 deals. The one that was last week, just 3 days ago, was a $1.2 million deal, and she got the deal. So I said, whoa, what's that called? Because I'm looking at it for my entire group. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I've been working with Alexandria for actually since she joined, and it's really important. Again, is mindset is everything, and right from the get go, you know, somebody like her as well. She just came in just raring to go, wanting to come to all the training sessions and learn everything that she could, getting from the insider group, and you know, it's worked really well, which is always nice to see. But you know, it really comes from that go get it mentality as well, right?
It's fun too. I mean, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, right? Just like there's 1,000 ways to convert a lead. At the end of the day, it's about winning friends and influencing people. And when you're creating a relationship with someone you never met before, you need to really think about it from their perspective. Everybody initially is feeling like they're being solicited or sold something. So how do you disrupt that mindset or that pattern that naturally salespeople have, or their response to salespeople? You don't be a salesperson. You be a person that's focused on the relationship and coming from contribution and asking questions. And so if you think about these leads are coming in from address only, then we have templates and mailers, and you can use trace systems and Spokio and all these other things for those address only. There's a lot of ways that our agents are taking those address onlys and I've seen them convert them into appointments. If you have an email and an address, well, where are you going to go from there? Well, you need video focused communication to bring your personality to life. Body language and tonality are key in that style. Now, obviously, naturally, if you have a phone number, you pick up the phone like Ernie did and have a conversation. You know, it's that simple. But you even still, when you ask the conversation, when you have the conversation, you really say, hey, you're probably just randomly scrolling down Facebook on your news feed. You clicked on my ad. I'm sure you're expecting an automated home value. Am I correct? Right? And that person's like, yeah, I didn't know it was me talking to a person. You're like, hey, that's okay. This is complimentary. This is our way of giving back to the community. We don't want to give you a guesstimate. We want to give you something that's accurate that you could update anytime. I just made that up, but that's the type of
Pretty darn good, man. Pretty darn good.
Hey,
jot that down.
Tired. So and that's because we do these masterminds every week. So tomorrow, join the mastermind, because it's not everybody has their own way of communicating, and some people are like, hey, go connect with them on Facebook personally. Why wouldn't you? Let them see the real part of you. Let them see the family. I got 4 kids. Like, let them see that part of you so they can see this as a real person looking to connect. and use Messenger and all these other tools that we have available today. It's not just me in the suit trying to list your home. And so, yeah, we'll, dive in deep under the understanding of the communication style, and you're going to do really well. But if you think it's just generating leads that naturally come and say, list my home, that's not the top of the funnel. That's not Facebook and Instagram. That's where you go and pay a lot of money with Zillow. And even then you're fighting with sharks and bloody water, right? This is where it's like everybody has an opportunity to connect with new people. The problem is it's on their time frame. So you have to be able to incubate and nurture that lead into wherever they're going. And actually, in many ways, and I'll leave it here, some of our best seller ads are buyer ads, because on Facebook, people want to know what's out there, but they still have to sell. You got to them first. You're interrupting their news feed. So you have to ask these key questions to figure out what their goals are, what their motivations, what they're looking to accomplish. And everybody's wanting to simply start with, have you any updates or renovations that I should be aware of? I'm like, maybe that's not the key question there, right? So that's where you have a coach, and we'll work with you on that and kind of dive into the psychology of a Facebook lead. Cool. We'll leave you with that. So next steps for everybody is just a complimentary one-on-one with your coach, to kind of get in deeper and just make sure that you've got all your questions answered, that your ads are set up properly. If you're going to split test and A/B test, let's work with you on getting good results. And then there's plenty of other resources we can get to you. But I think if you connect with your coach, get into the Facebook group, get access to the personal calendar of your coach, that's a good place to start. Oh, you probably want to talk about pricing too, right?
I was going, did I miss the pricing part or?
Yeah, real quickly. So the pricing, there's 3 ways to get involved with StreetText. So if you scroll down to the very bottom of your dashboard, and you can see this ready to sign up button, you have $1,920 up front for the year, and that renews monthly at $160. There's a 6-month upfront plan at $1,020, renewing monthly at $170. And then the 3-month would be a $600 upfront cost, renewing monthly at $200. So, a typical ad spend to allocate would probably be, I would say as a solo agent, make sure you probably have about $300 as a conservative spend on a monthly basis set aside, because you're going to do, in the beginning, I don't think you go too aggressive on the lead generation until you really focus on process, figure out what your systems are going to do, what your integrations are, really get clear on, if you have a 9-month-long drip campaign that's going to go out, why not embed 3 or 4 videos in the first week? Really allowing them to get to know you. If you're going to use something like HomeBot, let's make sure you're using HomeBot properly. There's a lot of, if you have your KV core or your systems are blah, 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 let's make sure we get all those in properly alignment so that they're going to nurture them the way you need to. I think a lot of people generally start with lead, and then quickly realize, no, and it's not about lead. It's about, let me make sure my process is dialed in, so then I can up and scale my budget accordingly. And then, then you can have fun with buyer ads. You can do market your own listings. We can do custom ads classes with Logan. But yeah, I think that's the key, to start with process first and foremost. Questions? And we have lots of trainings. We have a course that shows you how one of our best agents done a couple hundred deals. We just released another one with Janky Patel from the Lab Coat, and she's really focusing on role play and, if you want an ISA, how to use your ISA, and a lot of fun things. But it applies to solo as much as it does as team players. But we have a lot of great content, so you can kind of, pick your path, pick your journey. It's not about doing the same thing as our successful people. Just see what you love about what they do and then make it your own. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you should be studying people that are leaving successful clues. So let's get you into our community to do that. Let's get you into our Facebook group.
Where do you find the recordings?
YouTube.
Oh, YouTube.
Yep. All right. So we'll wrap it up now. And thanks for coming. Reach out to your coach. We'll go from there. Thanks, guys.
Awesome, thank you.
Well, how do you know who your coach is? Was it back on an email or something?
Just text the last person who texted you.
Oh, okay. Got it. There you go, coach. Got it. Okay.
100%.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.